Well, it's finally time to make the first AP Computer Science video of your entire life. Hello. Now, if you're watching this and you're a student in Greenwich High School, that's great. And if you're watching this and you're not a student in Greenwich High School, that's also great, except sorry, half of what I say is not going to make sense as far as where to go to do next things and assessments. But hey, we're all on the same team. So the first video here that we're going to do is we're going to get used to this incredibly superfluous program that we're staring at right now called NetBeans, which adheres to the first rule of computer programming, which is if you're going to name something, make sure it makes no sense and people will have to try for very long to try to figure out what it means. Like, I don't really get NetBeans. I guess you make Java from coffee beans. I don't know. If anybody can figure that out, somebody let me know. And I guess I could Google it, but we're not going to do that now. Anyway, we have to get used to the basics of this program. As you can see, it's got lots of buttons and tabs and things that we're not going to use, just like any good computer software. Heh, just kidding. We're using this actually because it's the recommended one from the AP College Board, and since it's technically an AP class, we need to kind of do what they say for a lot of stuff. So that's what we're going to do. Sorry it's not Sublime Text, which is much prettier and better, but anyway. So we're starting here, and what we need to first learn how to do is create a new project. Now, if you completed the summer assignment, you already know this, and you already have your handy-dandy folder set up for all of your NetBeans projects, which I have here. But if you don't, now is a good time to do that. Can you also know how to make a new project, which is fairly easy? You go to File and New Project. Or you could hit the handy-dandy hotkey, Command-Shift-N. And if you're on a PC and you need to know the hotkey, too bad. I don't know it. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to make a Java application. Chances are most of the times you're going to be creating a new project that's going to be a Java application in this class. But as you can see, there's lots of different options, which continually add to the amount of confusion that you have. That's great. We're going to hit Next. We need to give this project a name. So let's call this, I'm just going to start calling them the first project in each video. That'll be nice and confusing. Actually, not confusing. Okay. So project location, it'll actually automatically populate this if you set up your NetBeans right, but basically as long as it's leading to the folder that you made, that's good. And here's the project folder that it'll create in that folder for you. I leave that unchecked. And a create main class, generally from now on, leave that checked. We'll probably edit it going into the second, third quarter. We're going to finish, and magic will happen. 25%. Oh, wow, that was quick. Sometimes that takes a little while. All right, so let's see what it made. It made us a thing with a cup of coffee next to it called the first project. It's got source packages, the first project.java. Look at that. That's our first project. We'll get to what that means in a second. Under the libraries, this is actually just the languages that are installed. Sometimes you'll install plugins and they'll go here. For example, if there was like a Bootstrap equivalent to Java, that would go in libraries, or like a jQuery, you know, that'd go here. But source packages, that's our code. And we only have one file, and here it is. So let's look at what the main template means. And again, you guys should have done your summer assignment and you'll know most of this stuff already. But package, the first project, that means which source package this class belongs in. And then public class, the first project, this means that it's a public class. So we'll get to learning about what the difference between public and private are in a few classes. This is the type of file it is, class. And this is the name of that class, the first project. All right, so class declarations look like that. And then you have curly brace open, curly brace close. All similar stuff. Comments, same way as they're done in JavaScript, which you all know about. This has like a fancy author notation. Look at that. It's so cool. And then this is the command line arguments, as we have learned from the first lesson. Basically, this is what happens when your class is loaded up. So anything that you want to happen first, you want to put in here. For example, if you want to make a pizza when it's done loading, that goes here. Um, so yeah. All right. Now, what we're going to do during this course is I've made a Google Doc for every assignment um, and a video for every lesson. Excuse me. I've made a Google Doc, a video, and an assessment for every lesson. So what you're going to do is you probably want to be watching this video with that document either open next to you or on a screen behind it. And if my computer ever wants to open up the said document, I'll show you what it looks like. Why is the spinner over here? Come on, Google. Wow. My computer needs a vacation. I'm good. I'm fine. I don't need one, but the computer needs one. Okay, so here's the first activity. Now, every one of these is going to have a link to the video, and they're also going to have vocab that you probably need to know after you see it. So the first two that we need to look at are classes and objects, of which what we just made has generated. Okay, so objects are instances of classes, and classes are the best way to think about a class is just one file. Now that's not true. Classes can involve multiple files, but in all honesty, those other files could all technically be put into one giant and large file. Sometimes, a class can import methods from another class. You can extend another class, all sorts of fancy stuff like that. But the basic relationship is that when you create code, your program can generate objects, which are instances of classes. So when this project is run, it will generate an object that is an instance of the first project. Okay. Now this is all to do with object-oriented programming, which we're going to talk heavily about very soon. It's the main new thing that you guys will have to learn that you haven't learned yet studying code at Greenwich High School. But you will learn it, and we're going to talk about it quite heavily. But until then, that's all we need. So objects and classes. Yay! All right. Now let's start talking about how we can put things in different places in our application. So when you load up your application here, you got public class the first project, public static void main, and then string args. This is actually just the command line arguments. It's a lot of data about like what machine it's running on, what version of Java that machine has. Is it a PC or a Mac? Does the person have 3 arms or 4 arms? The answer is 4 arms. Everybody has 4 arms. Okay, I'm going to stop with the jokes now. That was actually a mistaken joke, sorry. Okay, anyway, so what we want to do here is we want to just kind of print some basic information to our console, because we really have to learn the difference between the console and the screen in this lesson. And you guys probably already know that, but that's okay if you don't. So let's see, printing things to the console. Normally in JavaScript you do console.log hello world. I'm not actually sure if that works in Java, and look at that, it doesn't, because it gave us a handy-dandy warning. The nice thing about Java or NetBeans is that it gives you these detailed code warnings about everything that you do wrong. It's kind of like your parents. Just kidding, Mom and Dad, if you're watching this, don't shoot me. But the thing that is a little annoying is that sometimes it contains too much detail, and especially if we're just doing something simple, what we always want to do is, hey, Google it. So we can Google, how do I print things to console in Java? And you guys should probably need to Google a number of things throughout this course, because, hey, you don't know Java yet. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so we need to do system.out.println. That's what we're looking for. As you can see if you do some quick Googling, there's actually a lot of different ways to print things to the console, and we'll talk about what those each do. But this is the basic way, and we just want to print hello world to the console, and that's basically what this is going to do. All right, so the next thing we need to do is run, and this little green play button is how you run it. So you'll see a blue progress bar that, if you're on my computer, will take several years to complete. And it also says that it's building. Yay. and now it's running. And as you can see, it's printed hello world, and it said the build was successful. It took 10 seconds. That's very sad. I'm pretty sure a kindergartner could write out that entire file in 10 seconds. But hey, that's because my computer is not up to snuff. All right, anyway, so that's the first thing. Now, what happens if we want to display this information on the screen? See, the console is different from the screen. Down here is the console. And if you remember from your HTML and JavaScript days, the user could actually see the console if they inspected the element. So if they inspected the source code. For example, if I am in Chrome, oh my god, if I do this, it's going to take forever. It's not letting me here because it's a Google Doc. Actually, it should. Let's see, I'll have to just click somewhere where there's no interaction. There you go. So if I clicked Inspect Element, I could see the console in the web browser. You can't do that in Java. Okay, so the user can't actually see ever what's on the console. So that's basically how we treat it in JavaScript too, but there is that subtle difference. What the user can see, though, is they can see what's on the screen. And the difference between the screen and the console in Java is just that the user can see the screen. They can't see the console no matter how hard they try unless they steal your source code. Now, you can see the console when you're running the program here in your development environment, but when you ship what's called a package to the user, they don't have a way of seeing what's here. So it's a great way to debug, to test. You can print sensitive information like usernames and passwords. So like username, I don't know, I'm reading the first word on my desk. Go Rangers. And you could also do password. Oh, it's the same thing. Not a great username and password, but the point is you could print this to your console in Java for testing purposes, and whereas in JavaScript that's probably not a great idea because sensitive information could be seen. Now, is it a good idea in Java? No, not really. You don't really need to be printing sensitive information ever, but the point is it's fairly secure in the console here. So that's a main difference. Okay, so that's console stuff, but what if we want to print stuff to the screen? So Java uses a series of screen elements that's called swing. And swing is actually fairly easy to use, and we're going to get into basics next lesson. But if we wanted to print out something in swing, you'd have to do two things. You'd have to create what's called a GUI, or graphic user interface, and you can do that in NetBeans, so I'm going to show you how to do that during the next class, but we're not going to get to it today. So you create a GUI, you link your classes to elements in the GUI. Okay, and what that means is that basically says, hey, when you click a certain button like this one, it's going to run a method in the first project class. Okay, and then once you do that, you're able to dynamically change anything on the screen. So we're going to learn that. We're going to learn swing to-do list. And then we can dynamically change stuff. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at next time. But until we do that, since we won't have enough time to do swing, what we are going to do is we're going to learn how to send this somewhere. So this is no good if you can only just run it on your computer and you can't, have fun with programs that you make or send them to other people to get them used. So what we have to do is we have to do what's called compiling a package to be sent elsewhere. Okay, and to do that, you go to the Run tab, and what you want to do is you want to build the project. Okay. It doesn't seem to want to work. I guess we have to clean and build? Oh, it's got to clean and build. Obviously. Okay. tab, if you're looking at the Projects tab, you'll see our project. We actually want to go to the Files tab, and if you expand the first project and you expand the dist folder, what you're actually going to send to people is this .jar file. .jar is an executable JavaScript file that can be, double-clicked and run on any computer that has Java installed. It doesn't need NetBeans, and if a user clicks that, they'll have the program open on their computer and they can interact with it. So just for fun, we're going to go ahead and send this. Let's see, who is the lucky person? I'm just looking at my roster. All right, looks like Dan. I'm going to send Dan the first project. Hi, Dan. You're the lucky recipient of this first Java project. Ignore it and laugh at. No, let's just say ignore it. Okay, so we're going to send Dan this file. First, we need to find it. And Alright, so as you can see, this has been blocked for security reasons, which you guys will undoubtedly run into. That's because the .jar file and our filters don't want you sending that stuff. So what you're actually going to do is you're just going to zip it. So we're going to compress. Oh no. We're going to compress. And hopefully that will get through. No, it's still got the .jar name in there. We can actually just get rid of this like that. Now it should work. Wow, no, it really doesn't want us to send these. Alright, well, you know what? I'm going to have to speak to the people in charge of the filters here. But the point is, that's how you send files to users. We might have to just upload them to like Google Drive and then send me the link to them. But we'll figure that out at a later date. So I'll send you an update. But that's it for number 1, and see you next time for how to use Swing.